Welcome back to the QB Huddle, folks. I'm Tim Smith, joined as always by my podcast partner, Brandon Newey.
Let's go.
We're here to talk all things quarterback all season long. We had another fun weekend of football, so let's jump into it. As always, we start with the college recap. And wow, Jackson Dart this weekend went crazy with 500-plus yards and 6 touchdowns. Man, I didn't get to see a lot of college football. I saw a lot of highlights. I was traveling over the weekend, but talk to us a little bit about Jackson Dart and what you saw, because we brought him to the forefront about a month ago.
The wrong quarterback left USC.
Oh, my
goodness. Because this guy is balling. Jackson Dart, he's very efficient in Lane Kiffin's offense. It's a very high-powered offense. They operate very quickly to where the defense can't get settled in. Jackson Dart did good, man. He's been very efficient this year. I think he's top 3 in passing and touchdown or yards and touchdowns. But he's got a tough matchup against Georgia. And so we're going to see exactly what he's made of, just like we saw Quinn Ewers in the fire. Is Jackson Dart a potential NFL franchise quarterback?
Does he get into the Heisman?
Could he play himself into that first pick?
Does Jackson Dart get into the Heisman conversation if he does a big performance against Georgia and is able to beat Georgia?
He might. He might.
He's been putting up huge numbers, and no one's talking about it.
He leads the country. He leads the country by 100 yards next to Cam Ward, completing over 70% of his passes, 21-3 touchdown to interception ratio, which is very solid. He's coming off of 2 losses. He laid a couple of eggs, and so if he gets his win, I think he will be in contention.
Ooh, big game against Georgia, and you brought him up, Cam Ward. Once again, putting the Miami Hurricanes on his back, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They were losing again in this game, and it was up to Cam Ward to put the cape on. Wow, can he do what he's doing at the next level? I think so, because
I'm not going to say
carrying this team.
I'm not going to say he can't. It's obviously different athletes at the next level. He plays. He's very calm. He's almost too damn calm, to a degree, when you watch his style of play. But I think he has a real good feel for the game. He's very effective, and he's got this sense that he knows how to bring teams back. I mean, he did it at Washington State. He's a good player. I mean, if he was to be the number 1 pick, I wouldn't argue it. I'd say that. I think out of all the college players outside of Shador, he's the only one I've just seen that's been super battle tested and has risen over and over again. I mean, I think those two are the cream of the crop in this upcoming draft. Even though they have this playmaking style backyard, I think getting with a good team, I don't really want them to go top 2, because if they do, you know what's going to happen.
You know what happens.
I'd rather them go to a good team that's established to where they can learn and grow. And if that happens, I think sky's the limit for these guys. So,
I wish that they would almost draft in real life, kind of with the mentality of what you do in a fantasy, right? Let's stop drafting quarterbacks in the first round. Let's just come up with a gentleman's agreement throughout the league, owners and GMs. We will not draft any quarterbacks in the first round. We're going to focus on offensive linemen, defensive players, things that help young quarterbacks, and then we'll draft quarterbacks. We'll start in the second round, and we'll draft quarterbacks there. That would be amazing, I think, for both young quarterbacks and for franchises that want to get better quickly. So I don't believe, honestly, that we have a strong quarterback class this year, and even the top guys have questions at the next level, whether you're Shador Sanders or Cam Ward. I think definitely we've seen questions out of Carson Beck. Definitely we've seen questions out of Quinn Ewers. And it's going to be a tough one. Speaking of questions.
Go ahead. One thing, it says back to that. I think one thing that really helps Shador and Cam is they got a lot of body of work.
They do. They played a lot of football.
That's what we're looking for out of quarterbacks coming in. This whole one year and done, stop. Playing 2 years, stop. These guys have played literally all 4 seasons, and they have a lot of games. And if you look at the quarterbacks that have been successful in the NFL, they got a lot of games underneath them.
Yeah.
right?
And
Even
then
in
you look
college,
at the guys that don't have a lot
started.
of games that aren't as successful, like an Anthony Richardson or Mitchell Trubisky
Yeah.
to some degree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that didn't
Caleb
play
had
a
3
lot of football.
seasons. Jaden Daniel had 4 seasons. I
Jaden
mean, these
Daniels
guys
had a lot
have had a
of big
lot of
time
body.
football too, not weak football. You know, Jaden Daniels, Caleb, they were playing against top teams in the country every single week, so they were playing good football.
They were in shootouts quite a bit. So
Indiana
this other
is
guy?
kind of surprised everybody.
Who's this guy?
Curtis Rout, the quarterback of the Indiana Hoosiers.
That's how you pronounce it?
I don't know. I think so.
Curtis Rowe?
Rowe?
Whatever,
Maybe.
man.
Hey, you played the
Mr.
Indiana
Curtis,
Hoosiers, and you're
you
9-0, averaging 49 points a game.
Jesus.
I've never seen Indiana have a good football team in my entire life.
Never.
I'm 52 years
Never.
old. I've never
Hold on,
seen
wait.
Indiana play good.
Antoine Randall, they didn't have a good year?
Okay, maybe.
That's the only guy I remember.
That's the only guy I can think of that played at Indiana
Antoine Randall
ever. So Michigan gets to take on Indiana this weekend, who was taken down hard by Oregon. Oregon seemed to just play with Michigan like they were, just a toy, and we're just going to play it with you and do what we want. Gabriel had an incredible day. Oregon, they should have beat Michigan. Michigan's just not a good football team. That's just what it is. And I don't want to talk about Michigan anymore. Maybe we can stop talking about them this year.
I really don't want to talk about USC either.
But they laid an egg too. So
Man,
if we got to talk about Michigan,
eggs,
what's going on with your USC Trojans?
Can't finish games. Finish games. This is several times we have been in the lead and we can't hold a lead. Lincoln Riley looks like the Kyle Shanahan of college football.
Should Lincoln Riley have ever left Oklahoma?
No.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel bad for the Sooner Nation there too, but I mean, I think Coach V is a good coach. I like him over Lincoln Riley. I just felt like Lincoln Riley never put an emphasis on defense and just the small details. I feel like he had quarterbacks such as Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. Then he had Caleb Williams. So he's been spoiled with a lot of top-tier talent that was very successful in college, and 3 Heisman winners and 1 runner-up. So to a degree, he wasn't exposed as much, right? Because he had these superstars. And now you get a guy, I'm not saying Miller Moss is terrible, but he's not those guys, right? And so now you have a new kid's coming in. The first Polynesian quarterback to start for USC will take place against Nebraska this week. So I'm excited for the kid. I think it's great. I think a USC Poly kid, I think that is gold because that whole area is full of Polynesians. So it should be, hopefully this switches gears because it's not like they can't score. It's not like they're not talented. It's just they can't finish games. They just don't finish well. So
fact.
And that's my rant for them.
Okay. Well, let's go on to the NFL. Folks, you'll notice I'm in a Terrell Owens throwback 49er jersey. I did lose a bet to Brandon a couple weeks ago when the Cowboys played the 49ers. I did not have a jersey, but I got this one. This one came from Mitchell and Ness. I highly recommend you guys getting jerseys from Mitchell and Ness. It's all patched. It's beautiful. The detail in this thing is amazing. I love this jersey. I'm not a 49er fan, but I am a TO fan. So this is for you, Brandon.
I had to wear my throwback Vic for you, man, just to rub salt in the wound.
I see that.
Also a Mitchell and Ness jersey.
Well, there you go. Mitchell and Ness for the win. We might have to talk to them about a sponsorship.
Need that.
Your 49ers were on a bye, but looks like there's been some movement on your IR list. Talk about where your 49ers are coming off the bye this coming week with a few injuries.
Yeah, man, we got a few injuries. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk's out, but we got CMC coming back, taking it day by day. He looks good out on the practice field from what reporters have said in the 49ers office. Now, we also have a bad boy coming back, and I think this is really going to help Mr. Purdy. Jawan Jennings is coming back after a hip injury. But we could run into a buzzsaw. These teams play off of motivation with coming down with back-to-back losses for the Buccaneers. People think this is going to be an easy breeze and we shouldn't start CMC. We should sit him. I think you got to go all in the full year. If he's healthy, he's healthy. I mean, my thing is the pressure's on us too, but it's definitely on the Buccaneers to get a win. So they're going to be motivated. So we'll see what happens, man. But I'm excited about it. We kicked y'all's ass as usual. So kudos, and we're going to keep it pushing.
All righty. Well, on that note, while y'all were sitting around doing nothing this weekend, and it looked like Brock Purdy and George Kittle went on a little vacation. I saw a picture. They were together somewhere. The Cowboys also went on vacation to Atlanta. They went. They enjoyed the nightlife. They obviously stayed out too late because they didn't even put up a fight early in the game. Dak is now on IR because basically he's a little – I can't say the word, but that's what he is.
Go ahead and say it.
I can't say it.
Don't disrespect Dak.
I can't.
Man.
I'm not disrespecting.
He's your franchise.
Hey, yeah, he's the franchise. All right. Check these numbers out. Just for those of you that like numbers. Dak was 18 for 24, 133, 1 touchdown, sacked 3 times. Cooper Rush came in the game. Cooper Rush was 13 for 25, 115, 1 touchdown. Not a big difference between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush, except Cooper gets the ball out, therefore no sacks. That's the difference. I never want to hear Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins are the same quarterback ever again, because people have been saying that dumb shit for years. Kirk Cousins was 19 for 24, 222, 3 touchdowns. That is the exact opposite of what Dak Prescott gave us. So don't ever tell me that Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins are the same quarterback. Kirk Cousins played at a Big Ten school. He was a number 1 quarterback at Michigan State. At Michigan State, okay? He did not look like Tim Tebow in college. Kirk Cousins is not Dak Prescott. So y'all keep saying that stupid shit rhetoric. Stop it.
Hold on. You act like Dak didn't play in a more dominant conference and was the number 1 team in the league.
The SEC is not more dominant than the Big Ten.
During his era?
No, it wasn't. No, not having that. Not having that. I'll take a quarterback from the Big Ten.
We can name 10 players from each conference, and I guarantee you that the SEC was dominant over
outside of a few guys that are in the NFL right now. I would take a Big Ten quarterback over an SEC quarterback any day of the week. Outside of a few guys that you have, like a Joe Burrow or a Jaden Daniels or a few of those guys that played in the SEC. Otherwise, I'm taking Big Ten quarterbacks every day of the week. So I don't want to hear that anymore. By the way, Cowboy fans, the season's over. Pack it in. It's done.
Ooh.
That's it.
It's over with.
We're about to lose the next 3 games unless Cooper Rush is somebody who I didn't think he was. And that's amazing.
Do you let Trey Lance roll?
You know what? I let Trey Lance play to see what kind of trade value we had for him. And all of a sudden, if he surprises us, then cool. But it doesn't matter. Dak's here. I see a lot of idiots on social media. Trade Dak. Can't trade him. He's got a no-trade clause. Dak's our quarterback for the next 4 years. There's nothing that can be done about that. And now he's hurt. So with hamstring, I don't know. I played on a shattered ankle. But
I already had a last.
I didn't make $60 million
when it's throwing hand. They
I hear that too.
Could be broken too.
He probably did that in the locker room when he was opening up beer, talking about how bad his hamstring hurt. And he couldn't play anymore. That's when he hurt his hand. My guess. I don't know.
It was bleeding on the sideline.
I'm done with the whole thing, man.
Man, you over Dak, bro? Are you gonna throw his jersey away?
I've been over Dak. I bought his jersey out of respect for the Dallas Cowboys.
Nah, you were on the Dak train last year, man. He's different now. He's different.
That shit.
I tell you, we're different right now. You fought the hell in, and he let you down again. Damn.
Thanks.
I like Dak though. I like Dak though.
Who likes Dak? You like Dak?
I want him to be y'all's quarterback forever.
Well, that's because you're a 49er. Everybody in the league wants Dak to stay with the Cowboys.
I like that.
Terrible. I'm sure you do. Let's get into the rookie watch. I was in sunny Arizona this weekend, which became Haley, Arizona in the middle of the game. Watched the Bears take on the Cardinals. I've been to a lot of football games in my life. I mean, I can't even count the amount of NFL games that I've attended. This might have been the worst game I've ever watched on both sides. Nobody did anything exciting. Connor ran through the Bears like hot butter. There was no splash plays. Marvin Harrison Jr., he didn't do much. He had a catch and a fumble. I think he had 2 catches the whole game, so you didn't see much out of him. Kyler only ran 1 time on a little zone replay for 4 yards for a first down, and Caleb was running for his life. What's funny when you watch the Bears play live is you notice that receivers are downfield completely covered. Sometimes you might have 2 to 3 receivers in the same geographical area. At that point, Caleb, while he's scrambling, receivers are running, looking downfield. No one's looking at him. I saw Woods one time take himself out of the game in the middle of the play.
I think it was DJ Moore.
Or DJ Moore, sorry. DJ Moore takes himself out of the game. He runs a little comeback, doesn't get the ball, walks to the bench while Caleb is still scrambling. We didn't try to establish the run, the Bears. They never were able to run the ball, which means you can't play action, which means you're just putting Caleb back there as a sitting duck. They weren't picking up blitzes. Linemen, I saw one play where there's 3 offensive linemen on the ground, and Caleb was scrambling and then ended up getting sacked for like 15-yard loss. Bro, it was terrible. Everyone in the Bears needs to be fired. Everybody. Except Ryan Pace. He can stay because he's bringing in good players. But coaches, y'all got to go. Y'all got to go. You're doing Caleb a disservice. By the way, it was never Justin Fields. By the way, it was never Mitchell Trubisky. This coaching staff just can't get it right. You just can't get it right.
So there's a trend that is going around that's basically saying the Bears front office has been a disaster ever since Mitchell Trubisky. And
but Mitchell was 5-0 at one point.
I know, but they fired the coach after a year, right? And then he got benched, and then they drafted Justin Fields.
That's true. And the coach
got fired after that year. Then they brought in this guy. Then the Bears draft a quarterback in the number 1 overall pick and could be potentially on the hot seat. So it is a reoccurring theme with these guys. Yeah. Well, and I really feel like for Caleb, this is a learning curve. This is a big learning curve. I don't really feel it's on him. I really feel they need to cater to an offense to his skill set.
They do. They need to listen.
They really do.
They need to clean house.
He needs an offense that caters to his skill set.
They need to clean house. They need to go out and get one of these bright minds out of the college game, because those guys are proving when they come into the league that they do good things, especially as coordinators. We need somebody that is respected. We need a big name in Chicago. The Chicago Bears are one of the most historic franchises in all of the NFL. It's time for them to have another coach like a Coach Ditka, somebody that people around the league know, they respect, another Lovie Smith, right? We need another guy like that can come in and build a culture for Chicago as a head coach. But then you need an OC from the college ranks, somebody that can relate to Caleb, relate to the young. Apparently, they hate their OC in Chicago, all of them. Like and you can watch the offense. There's no creativity. Too much talent and no creativity. And the play call sequence, like you don't understand what they're doing. They'll run on first down. They'll try to throw deep on 2nd and 15, right? And then they'll throw a screen on 3rd down to a smoke screen to a one-on-one wide receiver and get 4 yards. Why? What was the methodology behind the play calling? I don't see it. Caleb's getting a raw deal in Chicago. He's doing his best. Why was he in the game when the game was decided? He gets hurt. Don't know exactly how extensive the injury was, but he definitely got limping off the field. It's just all bad in Chicago. Meanwhile, where it's not all bad, Jaden Daniels, another win in Washington. 15 for 22, 209, 2 touchdowns. Doesn't earth shatter, but it was a divisional win against the Giants. And you on the road as a rookie to go on the road, divisional, and win the game like that, gotta love it. Am I right?
Yeah. He's impressive. He's impressive. I mean, he's got this team 7-2. We've always known they've had good weapons over time. Just needed a quarterback to really drive it there, and also a good defensive coordinator, which they got in that, and a head coach. But again, they're catering to Jaden Daniels' skill set.
They really are.
He is not indecisive with anything.
And they have
exactly where he's going with the ball. He understands if it breaks down, I have to do this, I have to do. He has a clear understanding of in great detail of what he needs to do.
They have the right coach.
Yeah. And the Bears had an opportunity to get Cliff Kingsbury as an offensive coordinator, and they declined that. Now, the only reason why Cliff came back into the college ranks was to work specifically with Caleb Williams.
Could you imagine that pairing? Could you imagine that pairing in Chicago right now?
And I think Cliff just wants to be an OC, man. I don't think he's trying to deal with the head coach stuff anymore.
100%.
That man aged like 5 years.
Right.
When he was in he was a young dude. I'm like, damn, you look old. So if you see the evolution of Kyle Shanahan, he looks old too. But man, I just think that's a great pairing that they have. I have nothing but great things to say about him. Just my only thing is, dude, don't take these hits. Just don't do it, because this feels like, to me, this feels like the RG3 wave again. It's very similar, right?
Except Jaden doesn't
He's a much
run.
better pocket. Yeah,
exactly. He doesn't run nearly as much as RG3
No,
used to
he's
run
much
and put
better.
himself in danger.
But it's just this spike of like, oh my God, we just got this quarterback. We're amazing now.
Just
right?
fall down. Just slide.
The film ain't all been out yet, right?
Yeah.
So give it time. We saw this with CJ Stroud too, with a new head coach, new guys. Everything looks solid. Now you're seeing him go through this sophomore slump. Give it time, but what we see right now is, damn, it's efficient, and just continue to do it.
Hard to stop. They're going to be very difficult to stop.
Right.
Who's not hard to stop is Bo Nix. Another tough day at the office for him. 19 for 33, 223, 1 interception, no touchdowns. Still growing. What do you think about that mix of Bo Nix along with Sean Payton? Is that the right mix there? I mean, do they have the right idea? Are they going to be moving forward okay there?
I think he lets Bo be an athlete, and I think that's huge. That's a confidence booster for a young quarterback of his athleticism. I mean, Bo Nix he's pretty damn athletic. I mean, he caught a touchdown pass. I mean, he was running around. He can escape. I just think this is an offense where it's predicated on timing and being efficient. And you have to have those things in this particular offense, similar to Drew Brees. I think he's going to be okay, man. He's just got growing pains. I mean, he's just going through it. And then you ran into a buzzsaw in Baltimore at home. And, it's impossible to beat Baltimore at home.
Apparently you don't want to play the Baltimore Ravens after a loss because they will completely destroy you.
Yes.
They came out angry. This is the best their defense has looked all season. Last year they were giving up an average of 10 points a game. This year was more in that 20 range. But, giving up just 10 points to a Sean Payton offense, the Ravens defense certainly back on track.
Right.
How about Drake May, who competed his butt off? But New England, talk about a dumpster fire. New England is a dumpster fire. 44 times this kid threw. That's too much for a rookie. 29 for 44, 185, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was putting his body on the line. What concerns me, Brandon, we talk about Jaden Daniels protecting himself, Anthony Richardson protecting himself. Drake May, 1 week out of concussion protocol, is running around putting his head down, trying to run over linebackers and safeties again. Like, what are we doing? We're the quarterback of an NFL franchise. Protect ourselves.
He's very Josh Allen-esque.
But he doesn't have that Josh Allen.
Bro, he ran for 95 yards.
He doesn't look.
He rushed for 95 yards.
That was not a necessity, though. Like, protect yourself a little bit.
I understand
he's not that big.
Yes, he is. He's like 6'5", 240. He's a big old boy.
Maybe I'm wrong.
He's big.
Okay.
He's Josh Allen-esque.
I guess you threw me with the Josh Allen stuff.
I mean, I know you didn't see this game. Right. As a honorary Titans fan, I happened to watch this game, and I had a great big smile on my face seeing the boys do some good things. But this kid competed his tail off.
He did. I'll give him that.
And I mean, when the clock end of regulation, he's running around trying to find something. He makes the throw, big throw, man. The kid dropped the pair and made it happen. Now, granted, you threw that post a little late, right? And into a 2-man coverage to where they could get that. And I was like, ooh, you need a little earlier, but you also needed to be on the same page with the receiver because the receiver broke too late. If he'd have broke under that 10 to 15 yard under that window, Drake would have probably hit him right on the dot. But that's just a clear understanding of getting used to your receiver and just, based on coverage depth, don't run to get covered. And he basically threw it where he was covered. And it's like, you got to throw that a little earlier, but overall, man, I think the kid's athletic. I think they got something there a little bit. We'll see how it goes. But again, to attest to what you're saying, that organization right now is not what it used to be, and they've got to find an identity. So
yeah. Well, Jaden Daniels, the only rookie to get a win this weekend, and seems to be, even though the word was that Caleb was the best setup rookie in history, and he might be from a number one draft perspective, but Jaden Daniels seems to be in the best setup and the best situation right now for sure, as we've seen this play out. So, to me right now, if we had to vote, Jaden Daniels, rookie of the year. Not even a question. No question. He might be up for MVP at the rate he's playing right now.
I don't think they're going to give a rookie MVP.
No, they won't, but I think he could be considered because
Lamar is going to come down between Lamar and Josh Allen, or depending on how Jared Goff or Joe Burrow does.
You know who it should be? Should be Derrick Henry. It should be Derrick Henry. He's changed that entire offense in Baltimore. So
I'm over this.
Sure we'll argue about that all year long. They
didn't lead the league in rushing before, Tim.
Yeah, but they weren't running through teams like they are now. Like Derrick Henry makes it look easy. Derrick Henry closes games.
They did it last year.
Derrick Henry is the best thing to happen to Lamar Jackson in his entire career.
Look at this. You hear this? You hear this BS?
I bet you if you ask Lamar Jackson what's the best acquisition the Baltimore Ravens have ever made for you, he would tell you Derrick Henry. Not questionable. Derrick Henry. You got a freight train that you can hand the ball off to that every defense in the league is scared to death of. Now,
I think it's Zay Flowers.
As a quarterback, I'd take Derrick Henry over Zay Flowers. Derrick Henry, my running back.
They led the league in rushing since he stepped foot in the door.
Because he had to do most of it. Now he doesn't have to do most of it anymore.
Okay, but still, he's had those games.
Derrick Henry is adding years to his career right now by making it so he doesn't have to run.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. They've always been able to run the ball. They've always been able to run the ball.
You're not understanding the point.
I'm understanding you, but I'm not agreeing with you.
They had to run the ball, but they had to.
Thing that happened to Lamar Jackson.
They used to have to depend on Lamar Jackson's legs at least 50% to do anything on the ground. Now they don't. Derrick Henry takes on 75% of that load now.
Okay, and we're seeing the type of passer that Lamar has always been, correct?
Again, because of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the best thing to ever happen to Lamar Jackson.
Henry is not always on the field. He literally has only 15 carries a game.
That's not true. The last couple of weeks, he's been 20, 22, 24. So what you're saying isn't true. That's how it started. But as the season has progressed, he gets more and more carries.
Okay. All right. I'm going to let you have it. I mean, the dude does have 1,000 yards rushing, so I can't really argue that.
I mean, we're only halfway through.
But no. Before you go back, he's only had 2 games where he has had over 20 carries. Everything else has been 11, 15, 15. Yeah, go look at it.
I'm looking what he did today. I do. I'm just saying.
He's had 3 games over 20 carries. Everything else has been within that.
They've been the last 3 games since they've been.
No. Within the last game, he rushed for 23 carries. The past 2 games before that, he had 11, 15. Then we go to 24, 15, 24.
Yeah, guess what? They lost the game with 11 and almost lost the game with only 15. The recipe in Baltimore. Look at the games where he's had. Look at the games where he's had lots of carries and lots of yards, and look at what they've done in those games. They're winning those games. The recipe is to feed Derrick Henry.
He's number 1 in
carries, 106, 2 touchdowns, and a 20-yard run.
They are utilizing him very well.
Exactly. Listen, Lamar Jackson only had 3 carries in the game, bro. That's the difference now. When have you ever seen Lamar Jackson have 3 carries for 4 yards in a game?
A few times.
Derrick Henry's the best thing to ever happen to Lamar Jackson.
Now, listen, Lamar is not – I mean, his only time he's taken the most, I think it's – yeah, I mean, if I look at it.
I'm not hating on Lamar by saying that.
No, he has only had double-digit carries for 4 years. I know you're not hating, but I'm just glad you're starting to see what I've been seeing. Like, this dude can – I mean, we'll dive into this a little more.
We finally get to talk about his passing ability more than his running ability.
My goodness.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's about time.
It's so fun to watch.
And now he just lets the running back run the ball. And that's the best way to do it.
Well, I think that offense is better designed to help protect him. I think the way he was going with he hasn't had a 100-yard game since the first game. So that's just credited to that run game, but also you had a new offensive right side of the line that they were trying to get adjusted to. It looks like, man, this is their shot.
And they got Derek late, remember, so he didn't play a lot in the first couple games because they got him.
He only had like 11 carries the first game.
Yeah, and then people were like, "What are we doing in Baltimore?" And then it grew.
I love that team, man. Even though they beat us in the Super, I can't help but love. I've always liked them for some reason, like Ed Reed and Ray
I've never
Lewis.
liked them. I've never liked them since they left.
I've never liked them
in the middle of the night.
offensively, but defensively,
no,
like, I was all about it.
Yeah, nope. They stole football from Cleveland. I'll never like the Baltimore Ravens. Hot topics. Let's get into it.
Let's go, man. We had a little rant, but we're gonna go back to that though.
This is kind of a two-part thing, right? The Jets get a big win. A-Rod looks vintage, but at the same time, the Jets are a mystery. Man, is A-Rod back with the emergence of number 17, or were we fooled by last week's performance? Are we being fooled right now? Is it fool's gold to think the Jets are going to ascend?
Yes and no. Yes and no, and I tell you why. Yes, we've seen flashes. We've seen the chemistry that they've always had. It looked very vintage. But I also say no because that organization is a shit show.
It is.
Right. And they got some tough battles coming up soon. I mean, they're going to have to play tough the whole time. They're going to be underdogs. They go to Arizona. But also, I don't feel like Aaron Rodgers really looks like vintage Aaron Rodgers.
I think he does.
I say that because he's all over the place with his base. He doesn't really step into his throws anymore. He falls off his back foot quite a bit, putting more stress on his arm, and it causes the ball to float. And so you've seen that in the past. Like, yes, it was a zero blitz pressure. Obviously, he caught it, catch, back foot, let the ball float. It looked awesome. He throws a pretty ball, but it doesn't have that same effect like it used to outside of 10 yards. Like, and that's because maybe you're a little bit, number one, getting too cute, or number two, afraid to take a hit. And what did I tell you? Even when Brady was afraid to take a hit, it's time to get your ass out. Because if you're playing in fear like that, like, oh my God, like, he'll take these throws, man, and he'll step and he'll fall back into his throws. I was like, bro, clear that hip and fire it like you used to. Like, he only does that on quick throws. Like, you'll see where he jumps off that back foot. But when it comes to anything beyond that, even with the Mike Williams pick a couple of games ago where he's like, you're supposed to stay on the red line. Well, fucker, you underthrew it. Like, bad. Like, he had to come back to the ball. So you're fading back in your throws. If you go back and watch some of this film breakdown, you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's just like, I think he still has it, but I think he's afraid to get hit. Like, it just looks like he does not want to get hit. And it's like, dude, once you start thinking like that in that position, it's time to let it go.
I like the insight.
This is one of my favorite players.
I like the insight, and you bring us all back down to earth because I think a lot of us are looking at this and looking at the emergence of Garrett Wilson since Davante Adams has been in the building and thinking, man, this offense might literally take off like a jet. But what's that defense going to do? I mean, Hassan Riddick is now playing, right? His holdout is done. So I feel like there is hope in New York. I feel like, who are the Jets? I think the Jets are a average to, depending on the day, maybe a better than average team. But it's going to be hard for them to do anything, even if they make it to the postseason, with a coaching staff kind of in limbo the way it is, right? You don't know who the play caller is week to week. The head coach is now an interim head coach. There's lots of indecisiveness for the future. Will Aaron Rodgers play again after this year? Like, you have all that going into it. And then Davante Adams, God, you went to the Raiders to play with Derek Carr.
He's still that dude.
A year later, Derek Carr is gone. Now you've gone to the Jets to play with Aaron Rodgers. I feel really bad for him if Aaron Rodgers leaves next year, because Davante Adams is going to be like, well, what the hell? Where do I have to play? So I hope he stays. But there's a lot going on. I think the Jets have a chance to sneak into that last wild card spot if this offense can continue to do like it's doing. But I think you bring us back down to earth by saying, hey, look at what Rodgers is doing. He's getting away with some things mechanically that could hurt him later on. So we'll see.
It could.
Speaking of fantasy or reality, the Chiefs somehow are 7-0. They just lost or won a nail biter in overtime to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield was incredible. We're going to talk about him a little bit later in the show. But how are the Chiefs 7-0? What do you grab from that, Brandon? And is this the team still that we're looking at to maybe make that three-peat?
100%.
Oh,
they know how to win tough games.
That's what it is, right?
They are one of these teams that no matter how ugly the situation gets, they always find a way to do the little things correctly. Now, are the refs on payroll? Probably, because it's a lot of weird stuff going on. Even during that catch, catch for third down, you don't think that right tackle moved early?
Definitely.
Crazy. And you don't throw a flag? Come on now. So it's a little bit. The way to beat the Chiefs is to keep 15 off the field. And you have got to play a very strategic game to where it doesn't play into the ref's hands. Because if it gets close, it's always a suspicion of what's taking place. It blows my mind how these guys don't get holding calls.
Yeah.
Don't get calls that go their way. It's eerily similar to that Patriots kind of regime, right? And yes, it's good for business. But you also have to give kudos to those guys still being able to execute in high-pressure situations. You have to respect it.
Well, they've still got somewhat of a nucleus.
They can't control what the refs do.
Right.
But that owner got them on payroll, man. We'll see. If it's close.
They still got
close.
They have somewhat of a nucleus of their team that's been together for a while, so they have leaders in the room, which is important. I'm going to continue to say it. Andy Reid, to me, best coach of all time in the NFL.
Amazing.
I don't think there's anyone close to him. And that's what wins you close games, folks. Coaching wins you close games. Most
players love them.
Times. And so I think, wow, yeah, they are the team to beat in the AFC, but there's a team that can beat them. I think there's two. I think this is a 3-team race in the AFC unless somebody like the Chargers comes up and surprises us late because of Jim Harbaugh and company. But the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, once again, I think that's a three-headed monster that you got to get through. And one of those teams will probably be in the Super Bowl. Probably be the Chiefs. That's just the way it goes. I feel sorry for anybody who has to go to.
You got to respect it, but you may not like them, but you tune in.
Yeah. Do you see Baker's face? You see Baker's
They do make it interesting.
Do you see Baker's face at the coin toss in overtime when Mahomes got the ball and he was like,
he knew.
You got that Josh Allen feeling, right? Oh, it's over. We can't do anything.
You give Mahomes the ball. That's what makes him so great. He could be absolute dog water for an entire half of a season, but when he needs to be Mahomes, he turns it on, and you got to respect that. And that kid is tough as nails. He's tough as it gets.
The whole country thought he was done for the year. He gets carried off the field.
I was like, no.
My man gets carried off the field, takes it into the locker room, and then into the blue tent, and then comes jogging down the sideline like, "Hey, I'm good." I don't know what. I was gonna say I don't know what needle they put in him. Probably some lidocaine, Vicodin. I don't know what it was, but he was ready to go. There's just something about those Chiefs when it matters most. Every single time, they are.
They deliver, man. You got to respect it.
They're so good.
If you keep it close, you're losing. They don't lose close games. They don't.
They don't.
Back in the day, what happened when Tom Brady beat the Chiefs? What they have to do? Blow them out.
Yeah.
They had to beat them. You got to keep it out of the refs' hands.
It's interesting. Troy Aikman talked about it too. You talked about the last drive the Chiefs had where they almost had the interception and they looked very off kilter. And you think, well, if they get the ball first in overtime, Tampa Bay's got their number. But they were working against the clock. They were working a different facet of their offense at that point in time. So when they get into overtime, it's like a reset. And now they can sit down, they can take their time, they don't have to rush, and they just methodically went down the field.
They're
and got
smart, man. They're so smart at what they do.
Yeah, they really are. So if we go to the top 4 teams right now, Brandon, who's your NFC and AFC title game matchups based on where we are at this point of the season? Little projection time.
AFC, I feel like it's a no-brainer. You got the Chiefs. Obviously, they're defending champs. I think it's going to be Chiefs and the Ravens again.
Okay.
But I think it's going back to Baltimore. I think Chiefs may have a slump come in, right? Baltimore steals away a few games because they're 2 games back. They might steal more.
Yeah.
Or they're 3 games back.
Yeah, they're back a bit because of the loss.
So
And they lost to the Browns.
you might have to. It might be the Pat Mahomes Invitational game. You go to Arrowhead, right? Ugh.
Ugh.
I don't know, man. He's lost 7 in a row versus this dude, and so, I don't know. I think obviously the Chiefs could go. The NFC game, I have it a little bit different. I think the Lions. I think you're going to have to go to Detroit. I think Philly has an opportunity, just based on what they're doing as far as big plays, and having Saquon in the backfield definitely helps.
Yeah.
I also think Minnesota could get it going, being a division rivalry. There's an opportunity for them. There's a few teams in here that could sneak in. The Commanders, you never know, right? It could be one of those teams that just catches fire. Right now they're catching fire now, but you and I both know whoever gets hot in December is the ones that going. And hopefully my Niners rise to the occasion.
Okay.
And getting that opportunity. You know what I mean? We need that.
What's the Lions record right now? I'm trying to find
6 and 7 and 1.
7-1. Okay. So I'm with you on the Chiefs. I think that the best thing for the Chiefs and for Patrick Mahomes is that the Bills and the Ravens play each other in the divisional matchup.
Yeah.
And he sits back and watches, because one of those two teams could come into that divisional game and do a crazy upset, right, in KC. I think KC is going to host. I think Baltimore is going to be there, because I think in December and January, defense and running the ball wins football games, and no one's going to do that better than Baltimore. But I think once you go to Kansas City, there's just some sort of mystic, magical shit that happens, and the Chiefs will, I mean, they're the Patriots now, and they're going to go to the Super Bowl again. In the NFC, I have the Lions hosting the Commanders right now. That's where I've got in the NFC title game. What a crazy game. I think it'll be one of those games where Jaden Daniels and company makes you think that they're going to win the game, and Detroit wins in like a last-minute fourth quarter crazy scenario. Jared Goff play action, 90-yard bomb for a touchdown to St. Brown or something along those lines. And we might have Lions, Chiefs in the Super Bowl coming up this year. That's my prediction as of right now.
And Goff is undefeated versus Pat.
Goff don't care about no Patrick Mahomes. He went into Kansas City week 1. Banner drops.
He's the one that
he's the one. He might be the chosen one.
He may be the Eli to Tom Brady.
Jared Goff is trying to become a Jedi, and they tell him, you can only be a Jedi after you face Mahomes. You must face Mahomes. I'm not ready to face Mahomes. He's going to have to face Mahomes.
Hey, man, he may be the Eli of our era, man.
He may be.
He may take down the force.
I'm here to see the Lions win a Super Bowl. I wouldn't mind.
That'd be pretty cool. I can't even front. That would be dope. I love their coach, man. Their coach is awesome.
Lots of fire going on there. Love that. Speaking of fire.
I care about you guys, man. I tell you, I think about it every day.
I love you guys, man.
I'm not eating weights and cracking cornflakes.
On fire, we have a laundry list this week of guys that were on fire, Brand. I'm going to let you run with this a little bit, because you put some of this list together for us too. So go ahead. Who did you have on fire this week? I think we have a lot of the same guys.
Hey, man, Joe Dirt showed up and showed out. Joe Burrow. Man.
Yeah.
He this is his, third 5 TD game? 3 5 TD games this year, and he's got 2 of them. I think
he's got 2. He's got 2 of the 3. 251, by the way. It's not like he threw for a ton of yards.
I mean, he's just delivering the mail. Good pocket work, in and out of the pocket, man. He's a player to watch, man. If you're a quarterback, you really need to watch his film, because he does things the right way. He reminds me a lot of Andrew Luck. He's got a lot of Andrew Luck to me in him. Minus it's just the way he steps up in the pocket, protects the ball, like his movement. He makes the game look much easier than what it is.
Definitely see that.
Also, and then Lamar Jackson, man, over 80%, 280 in the air, 3 touchdowns. He's number 2 in the league in passing.
16 of
top
19
20 in rushing.
16 of 19. That's efficiency. And then Derrick Henry with another 100 yards on the ground. Again, Derrick Henry, the best thing to ever happen to Lamar Jackson.
Oh my God! All right, now this was a battle, and this was a battle of efficiency. Josh and Tua.
That was a great game. That was a great game.
Tua 25 of 28, 2 TDs. Then Josh 25, 39, 3 TDs. I mean, though he had the INT, we all know that wasn't his
went
fault.
right off the dude's chest.
He's had 3 picks this season, 2 of them off a dude's chest. He's really only throwing 1. That's on him. That's pretty damn impressive for a guy who turns the ball over a lot. We're used to.
He has 10 less turnovers this year than he had this time last year.
Josh is looking more Brett Favre in Vikings-ish. You know how that
By the way,
year Favre only threw like 3 picks?
I want you to apologize. Josh Allen has 2 interceptions, both off receivers' hands.
I said that.
No, you said he had 3.
No, he
only
has
3.
2.
He only has 2. I'm looking at it.
Oh, he has 2? Okay.
He only has 2. He only has 2. It was 2 weeks ago he had none. Then the last 2 weeks he's had 1 in each week.
He's starting to heat up.
Wide receivers' hands. Wide receivers, catch the damn ball, man. Stop causing your quarterback to have interceptions.
I mean, Josh is a hell of a player, man.
It was a great game. Tua looked great. It made me a little nervous when he took off running. Man. Like no one wants to see him run. Stop doing that. But that was a great game. How about Mahomes Baker Mayfield?
Beautiful game.
Baker was 23 for 31. He only had 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Remember, he doesn't have a legitimate bona fide wide receiver 1 on his team right now. Everybody is hurt on that offense. Baker had a Brady moment effectively in the 4th quarter, brought his team down, scores the tying drive. They should have gone for 2, yes? They should have went for 2. I always go for 2 on the road. You got to keep
it out of Mahomes' hand. You have to.
You can't give Mahomes the ball in overtime.
Game. Just go ahead and do it.
You were on fire at that time. You were doing anything you wanted to do offensively. Go for 2. And then Mahomes, 34 for 44, 291, 3 touchdowns. That's what it took to beat Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Great game, wasn't it? Great game on Monday night.
I thought it was absolutely outstanding by Baker and Mahomes. I mean, this is crazy weather, rain game. You showed that, hey, they can stand in the fire. And how about some of the catches by the receivers? Sterling Shepard coming back out.
Sterling Shepard played great. Talk about not having a bona fide number 1 guy, but he stepped up.
That's his former teammate, though. You know that?
Yeah.
From OU.
From OU. He stepped up, had a big game.
Also,
Travis Kelce had a big game. Travis Kelce's back. Is he not?
He ain't ever left.
Well, he was MIA.
Well, he tried to open it up for some other people. Like he said, he was getting a lot of double and triple team.
Right.
I also thought Jalen Hurts had a really good game. I mean, despite he's 18 of 24, 232 TDs, 67 rushing yards. I know you don't care about that, but I do. And 1 touchdown. Okay. So
I'm more impressed with the backwards hurdle that we saw.
I've never seen that in my life, but I've also never seen Jalen Hurts make some of the throws that he made in that game under crunch time moments. Now, I don't understand why Sirianni is going for 2 points quite a bit. I thought that was ridiculous. Just kick the field goal. But Jalen Hurts, to me, that was his best game as a quarterback that I've seen. For him to thread the ball between double coverage, make a perfect throw, make executed reads on time. Thought he did fantastic.
So we can agree then that maybe Saquon Barkley, the best thing that ever happened to Jalen Hurts.
I could agree with that because they both complement each other on that. I think
Lamar Derrick Henry's the best thing to ever happen to Lamar Jackson.
Lamar's a much more efficient passer than Jalen Hurts.
That's the point. That's not my point. My point is that Derrick Henry has been able to change Lamar Jackson how he plays quarterback.
No.
Okay.
No.
I can't wait to see what the people think about that.
That's fine.
Derrick Henry's the best thing to ever happen to Lamar Jackson.
We have one other guy, though he didn't wow you with stats. I just want to talk about him and give him his flowers because he has been absolutely phenomenal this year. Jared freaking Goff.
It's always Jared Goff.
Dog.
He's doing something incredible.
In the last 3 games, in the last 5 games, my man had 100% completion, 72% completion, 3 TDs, 315, by the way. Then he goes to 88% completion. Then he goes to 80% completion. And then this past game, in the rain, with the gloves on, it's drenched in Green Bay, and the ball only hits the ground 3 times.
Yeah.
Dude, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. He was 18 of 18 that one game. Like, he's He's doing something different. That scheme is working for him, and he is making it work. How is Jared Goff not talked about as an MVP front runner?
Because he's got two of the best running backs in the league.
Okay. And Lamar has Derrick Henry, who makes up the other two running backs in Detroit.
Jared Goff doesn't have the numbers.
But his efficiency is something we've never seen, ever.
It's special, right? It's definitely special. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I feel like, he's only had...
It's not flashy. I'm putting him at MVP. I'm putting him up there. Consideration. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar. I get it. But I've never seen a quarterback go 18 of 18 in a game.
Brock Purdy almost did it last year. He was actually 20 of 21, by the way.
It's almost. This efficiency, the efficiency that we've seen over the last 6 weeks from Jared Goff is unprecedented.
It's absolutely unbelievable. He's only had one game where he had double-digit picks, and he's only thrown his picks in the first quarter of the season. So his second quarter of the season was absolutely phenomenal. His second quarter of the season, he has 10 touchdowns and no picks, completing over 85% of his passes.
By the way, his two running backs equal one Derrick Henry. So
no,
yes, Derrick Henry is a Superman.
Oh,
the NFL has no kryptonite. Derrick Henry. I would give MVP to Derrick Henry, but it's not a quarterback, so we can't do that. So I'm going to give it to somebody else, and we'll talk about that later.
I give MVP to Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell? Oh, that's never been done before. Let's give it to a coach.
Coach of the year. He needs something. Because what he's done in Detroit is amazing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought we'd talk about Detroit? Detroit Lions.
2 years in a row.
All we used to talk about was Barry and Megatron.
The last time the Lions went to an NFC title game, the next year
92?
they were terrible. This year, not terrible.
They look pissed off, hungry, and desperate. They're playing with that PhD medicine.
They look ready to go.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that's all good. Now we got to go to the bad, and we got to go to the garbage juice. Now there's a lot of garbage juice. You know who's not in the garbage juice this week? Bryce Young is not. He's taking vacation from the garbage juice. Congratulations.
He got to win.
Congratulations, Bryce Young. You weren't on fire, but you get to step out of the garbage juice this weekend. But Trevor Lawrence, stay your ass in there. 16 for 31, 169, 2 interceptions. 169? And you got all that money? Come on, bro. The real Jameis Winston, please stand up. 26 of 46, 235, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Where's the win, man? We're not eating the wins. We're eating the interceptions that day. It's terrible. Geno Smith. Brother, I've been advocating for you. I've been on your side all year. And you threw 3 touchdowns in the game. But then you decided to pair that with 3 interceptions. That's like going to Burger King, getting yourself a diet burger or a diet Coke, but the biggest triple bacon burger possible. Come on, man. You can't throw 3 touchdowns and follow it up with 3 interceptions. Those are that, woo! Garbage juice.
About it. It is what it is. And it's like, It's
all bad. It's all bad.
Hey, but I will say Geno Smith did compete and get it into overtime. So let's not take that away from him.
But you never do in overtime if you didn't throw 3 interceptions.
He blew it up, though. He blew it up and brought it back and blew it up again.
Oh, poor guy. Hey, man, we love this piece. What if? This is where we fantasize a little bit, right? We always say coaching situation matters. So we like to fantasize of what if something different happened in the history of the NFL. I want you to go first because I think mine could spring off into a lot of different ways. Yours is pretty cut and dry. So give us your what if scenario and how it changes the landscape of the NFL.
What if Aaron Rodgers was drafted to the 49ers with the number 1 overall pick instead of Alex Smith?
Did Alex Smith have to play right away?
Yes, he did.
So Aaron Rodgers would have to play and not sit behind Brett Favre.
And he had mechanical issues in the beginning. He used to hold the ball up like this.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I don't see that going well. I don't see that going well. I think a couple years down the line, I don't think he would have been as successful as Alex Smith was.
I disagree. And I tell you why I disagree. Because even though we had Mike Nolan, who was a defensive guy, then we had Singletary come in. That would have probably took a little bit off his career, maybe year 6. But then you get this guy, this crazy, quirky guy named Jim Harbaugh. Paired up with Aaron Rodgers.
If Aaron Rodgers is
now in year 6. And now he's got Vernon Davis. He's got Michael Crabtree. He's got Frank Gore. He's got a really good offensive line. Then he's got that defense, Patrick Willis.
So you would have traded Colin Kaepernick.
Bowman. Justin Smith.
You would have traded Colin Kaepernick for Aaron Rodgers, is what you're saying.
Colin would have never existed for the Niners. It would have been Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh and Aaron Rodgers.
And you're also saying that Aaron Rodgers would have lasted for 6 years in San Francisco.
I think with his athleticism and ability, yes, I think he would have. Would it have hurt to go through that? Yeah, it would have. Maybe he has a broken collarbone. Didn't he break 2 collarbones in his career? Maybe. But we also had a established line. But I think Aaron Rodgers was more prepped to go to the NFL than Alex Smith was in Urban Meyer's offense in Utah. That was a very gimmicky offense. That was a zone read offense. That was the Tim Tebow stuff that we now see today in college football. And so the NFL isn't predicated on that offense. I think it was more Aaron Rodgers came from a West Coast style. Mike McCarthy at that time was the quarterback coach for the 49ers when they were looking to draft Aaron Rodgers. And Mike McCarthy took that job to the Green Bay Packers, which over time, as we know, he waited in the green room. He got selected, I think, in the 20s. And so what if that pairing, if he'd have had Mike McCarthy and never left, they would have took Aaron Rodgers. So he steps into the same system day one.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that Brett Favre and Mike McCarthy are the ones that molded Aaron Rodgers and turned him into who he is today. So I just don't know. I feel like Brett Favre had such an influence on him, but from all the way from the way he changed his mechanics to the way he used to button his chin strap, just like Brett Favre would do. And I feel like
tough, man.
not having that influence of a Brett Favre might have hurt him by being on another team. Maybe sitting was the best thing that ever happened to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know.
Maybe.
But you have a good point. I like it. He wanted to play for San Francisco, so at least he would have been where he wanted to be. That would have been cool. My what if is going to be a little different. It's not going to be about a player playing somewhere else. What if Tom Brady's fumble in the snow versus the Raiders was actually called a fumble, and the Raiders went to the Super Bowl that year instead of the Patriots with John Gruden? Think about all the ripples that might have over the NFL. Does Brady go down as the best ever? Does he have 6 Super Bowl titles in New England? Or was that the springboard that helped him get there? Does John Gruden get fired in Oakland? Absolutely not. He never coaches in Tampa, which means Tampa may not get that Super Bowl with Brad Johnson. Do the Raiders go on to win 2 or 3 Super Bowls under John Gruden with that team that they had assembled? Man, there's so many things that could have happened if that was called a fumble in the snow. Where are you at? What do you think happens if the Raiders get that fumble, the game's over, Raiders are going to the Super Bowl? Oh, does Tom Brady get benched next year for Drew Bledsoe? That's the other question.
That's where I was going. I was just like, man, 'cause I don't think Tom's spot was necessarily secured in that moment, because we do remember when he did get hurt, Drew Bledsoe stepped in the AFC title game and had a phenomenal game, even though Belichick was kind of moving ways. Does that alter and change some things? Well, hey, if we lost, we've had this experience with Tom Brady. It's been great, but now we need to give it back to our $100 million guy.
Yeah.
Drew. And don't get me wrong, Drew is a special quarterback, but Drew is not Tom Brady. There's something different about Tom Brady. I don't think it alters everything. I think it delays the process a little bit, but maybe earlier in the stages, does it conflict the Belichick-Brady relationship? Does that alter? And then you have to think about, okay, if the Raiders do go, win that game, they play Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh.
Does
So they
that
don't,
game
it's not
at that
100%
time-
victory.
Huh?
It's not 100% that they would win
Right.
that game. Ben
If
Roethlisberger
they
was doing
go-
his thing.
They're playing the greatest show on turf. The Rams, defensively, are they able to stop that? This was an aging Raiders team.
Facts.
As you remember, Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, Rich Gannon. There was a lot of older guys, older vets that go into that, right? So even if John Gruden does make it, he may get his ass whooped by the greatest show on turf,
Okay.
right? I mean, at that time, nobody expected the Patriots to win, but defensively, the Patriots were one of the best statistically defensively to go against that type of team. But if the Steelers win, it's so many different variations you can go with that, but that's a really good one. But I don't think it alters Tom Brady's career. I think it delays the process to him becoming who he was, because he's simply amazing, man. I mean, that ain't Belichick.
I'll paint a different picture. The different picture is they lose that game. They go back to Drew Bledsoe for the next 2 or 3 years, and during that time, Tom Brady is either traded or leaves to go to another team. Drew
And we never know what he becomes.
Never comes to Dallas. Drew Bledsoe never gets benched in Dallas.
Buffalo.
Tony Romo may never get his opportunity to play. There's a whole lot of things that go down if Tom Brady doesn't stay his ass in New England. Maybe Tom Brady goes to Dallas and becomes a Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Who knows? If he doesn't win that game, but he did win it, we know what the story is, but it's fun to play this game. It changes a lot
of things. Does the dynasty ever happen?
I don't think so. I don't think
it does.
I think that was the springboard that they needed, and
I
without
think the Rams. I think now with the Rams, that could have sprung the Rams.
The Rams could have been.
Kurt Warner would have never got
to the Cardinals.
Or no, he got shipped to New York.
Or New York. No, he played the Cardinals first, then New York.
No, he didn't. He went to the Giants. I swear to you, because he was Eli's mentor, and then he went to the Cardinals to mentor Matt Leinart.
I thought New York was where he retired.
Nope. He retired with the Cardinals. Got smacked. Yep.
Not a big fan of Kurt Warner. So
I love Kurt Warner. He's amazing.
Speaking of Tom Brady, we had some moments this weekend. I mean, Baker had a Brady moment, just didn't win the game, so we can't talk about it. But you have
Gino did too.
You wanted to talk about, and it's in that game, and it's Matthew Stafford. Man, clue us in. What did Stafford do this weekend?
The dude's a dealer. I mean, he's a dealer, even despite Puka Nacua only being out on the field for like 6 minutes before he threw a punch at a guy. But he still he just finds ways to get it done. He's very smart. He's very decisive. You have to get him off rhythm. They went into overtime. Granted, Gino did have a comeback to get him into overtime, which he's done plenty of times. So kudos to Gino, but you can't give a guy like that the ball, especially in their territory with a big special teams return. All it was is a simple fake 27 stretch boot, or was it fake 28 boot left, and they made it a little Y over, and he dotted it, and they go in for the touchdown. Stafford's a dealer, man, and if you don't get to him, he's going to torch you. That's just what he does. And
he just fights every game.
He just fights. He's a fighter, and he's one. Yeah. And I will go on a limb here. He is one of the greatest throwers in NFL history.
He's really good
of the football.
Yeah.
One of the best throwers of the football.
He was amazing in Detroit, and he just never really had the full team around him. He'd have a receiver, of course. And
think about it, if he had this Detroit team.
Oh, he'd be incredible.
He'd be MVP.
I mean, amazing.
You got to control Jared Goff to a degree. Matt Stafford, you just like, shit, throw that bitch.
Yep.
Do your thing. Just don't get hit. Protect yourself. That's what Sean McVay does. Just protect yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're right.
That dude can ball, man. Like, people don't give him enough credit, and it's good to finally see him get credit for it, even though he's in our division. I mean, you can't give a guy that much time. He'll kill you.
Yep. And he's won a Super Bowl, so good for him. Matthew Stafford. Mm-hmm. We love him on this show. We are a little bit, what are we, about halfway through the season at this point. So let's get into some rankings. Right?
Oh my God.
Let me know who are your top 10 quarterbacks. You want to give me all 10 or yeah, give me all 10. Then we could talk about it. Give me your 10.
Well, as of playing right now, this is based on their performances right now.
Just not the team performance, just
not
them.
Team performance. This is base performance. This is what you're doing. This is not of who you were last year or years beyond.
Okay.
Trying to be respectful. This is right now.
You're gonna
what have you done for me lately?
10 up or?
I'm gonna go 10 up.
Okay.
I'm going to go at 10. I'm going to put C.J. Stroud. And the reason why I put C.J., we're starting to experience a sophomore slump, even though he is depleted of receivers. It helps he's got a good run game, but he's got him off to a good start, even though they debunked on the Jets. Number 9, I got Jalen Hurts. He just finds ways to win, man. I mean, regardless of how you look at it, I thought he played one of his best games this past week. Number 8, I got Jaden Daniels. I'm not going to put him too high. And the reason why for that, the book ain't out on him yet. Right, okay. We're living at this peak of interest right now. It's a lot of hype. The kid's really talented. I'm not taking that away from him. 7, I got Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury, stepping into a new offense with Zach Robinson, new team, really getting affiliated with his players. Kurt has embraced Atlanta, and I feel like Atlanta's embraced him. And he's been on fire, man. Despite a few stinkers, man, that dude's been dealing the whole time. Number 6, I got Baker Mayfield. And the reason why I got Baker, man, Baker just is a fighter. Like, you want him in an alley with you. I mean, he's going to roll up his sleeves and fight. He's one of these old school throwback guys. He's got a lot of Brett Favre to him, but he's got a lot of Steve McNair to him too. Like, just with his toughness and his grit.
Right.
I see a lot of that with him. Number 5, I got Patty Mahomes, man. Everyone knows, yes, he's the guy, but right now, his record speaks for itself, but his performance has not been the number 1 quarterback this year. But when he needs to get it done, he gets it done. Number 4, I got Jared Goff, the most efficient quarterback in the league right now. He's been performing at a high level, and he is putting Detroit on the map right now. And all of a sudden, the anti-Chiefs fans are now becoming Detroit fans. So it's kind of funny to see that turn. Number 3, I got Joe Burrow. I feel like Joe Burrow's been playing at a very high level. He just doesn't have enough wins, but as far as like his efficiency, his touchdown to interception ratio has been phenomenal. Number 2, I got Josh Allen. He has been playing his efficient ball better than, in his entire career. He's known as a turnover machine. He's minimized that. He's got good players. He's got some good young talent around him. He dishes it out. And number 1, I have Lamar freaking Jackson, because that dude is continuing to ascend. He gets better each year. Adding Derrick Henry does help. Yes, it does. But we are finally starting to recognize him as a premier passer, which I've known for God knows how long.
Well, you didn't know because you've never seen it. As a premier elite passer. He's never been number 2 in the league in passing, ever.
Oh,
he was
okay,
15
but what did he do
year.
his first MVP year? Didn't he lead the league in freaking passing, Tim?
No, I don't think
and
so.
touchdowns? Yes, he did. Look it up. I'm tired of this nonsense. Number 1, Lamar freaking Jackson. Where's your list, bub? You talk to me about that.
You on my list? Okay.
I do. I see.
I want to make sure, by the way, to be fair, Lamar's number 3 in passing. After the Monday night game, Baker's number 2.
Tim, it's about are we counting yards? Are we counting efficiency? Are we counting touchdown to interception ratio?
I just want to make sure that we are always accurate on our show. He is 3rd in yards currently. That's all I'm saying.
No, I said when he won his first MVP, he led the league in passing yards.
I don't care about MVP. That was a long time ago.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
That's come on, dog. Like,
I'm just saying, he's playing the best he's ever played right now. We're seeing a version of Lamar Jackson that we've never seen.
He's done this.
Okay.
Next.
Let's move on. Here's my top 10. Number
Give
10,
me a top 10, man.
Justin Herbert. He is now accompanied by John Harbaugh. Harbaugh is the quarterback whisperer. Justin Herbert, number 10. He's only going to get better. Jaden Daniels, I have at number 9. He's a rookie. He's done some really, really good things. It's hard to put him up against some of these veterans. I mean, honestly, this list is very interchangeable to me. All these 10 guys could be anywhere on this list. Jaden Daniels has been amazing. Kirk Cousins I have at number 8. And how dare you people say that Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott are the same quarterback ever again. Baker Mayfield I have at 7. He is doing some great things, and now I feel like he's playing even at a higher level without all of his weapons, right? He has to carry this team, and he's doing the best that he can. At 6, I'm with you on Patrick Mahomes. The record speaks for itself. His play when it matters most speaks for itself, but he has not had the best season statistically, so you got to put him down a little bit. I have Joe Burrow at 5, and that might be too low. Really, I mean, the team hasn't looked great, but Joe Burrow has been dealing. He's doing his best out there. It didn't start great for him. His stats weren't great the first 3 weeks. He's really turning it on as we turn the corner here in the season. Matthew Stafford, I have him solid at number 4. He just shows up each and every week, no matter what. Lamar Jackson, once again, I have him at number 3. I have him at number 3 because I think off this list, he probably has some of the best weapons around him, some of the best backup, except for Jared Goff on defense. Bro. So I'm going to have Lamar at 3 right now. Jared Goff, I have at 2 because we've never seen any quarterback be this efficient ever in the NFL. He doesn't have to do a lot.
Drew Brees did it.
I don't know that he was this efficient.
Drew Brees was 77% completion.
Well, let's see where it ends up.
Out the full season.
I'm saying, let's see where Jared ends up at the end of the year. My number 1 guy right now, without a shadow of a doubt, is Josh Allen. Josh Allen has cured his playoff or his turnover woes. He doesn't have nearly the guys around him that a Lamar has, that a Jared has, even that a Matthew Stafford has. So, but
Jared Goff doesn't have?
I said Josh Allen doesn't have what Jared Goff has.
Okay, I'm about to say.
That's what I said. He doesn't.
Lamar has a 5'10" receiver as his number 1 receiver.
That offensive line in Detroit is special. It's special. And the way that they run the ball, Josh doesn't have to do as much as he had to do in years past, which I love. They're not asking him to be Superman, but he can be. He's done it all year. I love Josh Allen. I think he's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL today. So that's where I stand.
So, guys, as you can tell, this QB huddle right now is split up. Feels like America right now, right? You got this person on this side and this person on this side, right? Listen, both quarterbacks are doing absolutely everything they can do the right way.
Like I said, to me, all the guys are interchangeable, especially in that top 5.
The thing about what impresses me the most about Josh Allen, it's not necessarily his talent and his ability. I think he's not turning the ball over. And that is something that has been that's been really a big knock. Career with hey, he's not the number 1 guy because of this, right? And I think he continues this trend. I think he's going to continue to move up, but man, it's hard for me to put him over Lamar. It just is because
I know it is for you.
One thing about defensive coordinators with Josh Allen, they're going to contain him to a degree, but when you have a guy who is literally the best player on the field every time he plays, and he has that type of running ability where he can run away from you and just toy with you, it's hard to overlook that, man, as a defensive coordinator.
I don't think
I would be much happier to play Josh Allen than Lamar Jackson.
I don't think – how can you say that when Josh Allen plays in games, he's not the best player on the field?
Bro, he a beast. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, Josh, man, it's hard.
They're 1A, 1B to me. They do the same – I'm surprised because they do the same things. They do the same – they play the game essentially very, very similarly. I feel like
he's got 20 touchdowns. Lamar's got 20 touchdowns to 2 picks, averaging 9.3 per pass. And then he's rushed for over 500 yards, bro. That's crazy to me. That's Lamar's stats.
Josh has got 7.36 average per pass, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Again, he doesn't have a Derrick Henry in the backfield with him. Derrick Henry makes a difference to the defense, just does.
I mean, I get that he does, but he also has James Cook, who is one of the most efficient running backs in the league.
Here's what it comes down to with these 2 quarterbacks, right? Because they're both amazing. You're a Lamar fan and I'm a Josh fan. That's what it comes down to. I'm a Josh fan too. I'm a Lamar fan too, but you would rather Lamar over Josh. I would take Josh over Lamar. That's the difference between us right now.
All day long.
Yeah, I would take Josh.
So the game on the line, you not taking Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen?
No.
Oh Lord.
No. Because they both do the same shit. Josh can do some things that Lamar can't. So that's why I'm always going to take Josh.
I also feel like Lamar does have a better organization, a better structure
100%.
of how they do things.
I don't know. The Bills are pretty solid. The Bills are pretty solid.
Bills have been all over the place ever since I was a little kid. Ever since the Ravens have stepped into the NFL, they have been probably the most consistent team I've ever seen in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
Count it. And when have you ever seen the Ravens have a losing year? Don't worry, I'll wait.
I have to look.
You don't see it. They are literally like a wild card team or a 9-10 team, and then they'll go to 15 wins, then they'll go to 13 wins. They've been like that since Ray Lewis, bro, since 96. They've always been like that. So I'm like, damn. Well, was it, 98? They came in 98, right?
I don't know. When they stole football from Cleveland, bunch of thieves.
Hey, they made it look better, though.
Oh, man.
Purple and black, man.
I don't like that purple and black either.
It's so clean.
I don't like it.
So clean. Then you had Ed Reed
about the Ravens. Man. See, it's not Lamar's fault. If Lamar played for a different team, I might like him more. It's
like the 49ers of the East Coast. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, God.
It's tough, gritty. We get it out of the mud, just grimy.
I don't like
football.
Football. They're thieves. Let's talk about some matchups, man. We got some big games coming up. One is tomorrow night, Thursday night. This show comes out tomorrow afternoon. So if you're watching this, the game is tonight. Bengals versus Ravens. This is a huge game because Joe Burrow is dealing and the Bengals are trying to stay alive. The Ravens can't really afford to lose any more games that they should win. So huge game tomorrow night. Maybe the best Thursday night game we've seen this year.
Yeah, I think Burrow is 1-5 against Lamar now in his career, and I think he
have to put that out there.
Win. Because we've always said that Joe Burrow's better than Lamar Jackson, and he is not. But
I don't know about that. I mean, he can't run like Lamar, but
you crazy.
He's got a faster processor than Lamar. He's more accurate.
I don't think he has a faster processor either.
I mean, he has to because he's a pocket passer.
I mean, Joe Burrow to me is more of a dual threat than people give him credit for.
He can
run.
He
had like a 70-yard touchdown run.
He can run, but he's not Lamar or Josh or Jaden. He's not any of those guys.
No. But he has ability to run. Like,
and
he is not a true pocket quarterback. I don't think he's a true pocket passer. I think he's this era's Andrew Luck.
Okay. Or you keep saying
he can run when needed to, get his yards when he needs to. He can beat you with his feet. Don't just mistake in that, right? But he's very efficient, man. And I think this is a must-win for the Bengals. You've got to win this game. If you don't win this game, you're probably not going to get in the playoffs because your division. You got the Ravens, you got the Steelers that are hot.
Yeah.
And so it just takes those two teams to kind of move the needle. Cleveland's obviously down, but you're playing for third right now.
You got to win this game.
You got to win this game because 3 of you guys aren't coming out of that division. 2 of you guys are.
And if the Ravens want to play home games in the playoffs against the
you
Bills,
got to stay away from Arrowhead, brother.
Yeah,
you got to stay away from Arrowhead.
I think you got to stay away from Buffalo too. Honestly, I think
Buffalo lose. Well,
you know what, Derrick Henry, I'm going to say it again.
It's their style of play that
Derrick Henry will travel to snowy Buffalo.
It's playoff football, bro. Like Ravens do that just as better than anybody except the Chiefs. 49ers, Buccaneers. This is a must-win for both teams. This is motivation. We get CMC back. We get Jawan Jennings back.
Is CMC going to play?
Mayfield, huh?
Is he going to play CMC already?
I think he is. I think they're going to put him in a package. But here's the thing about it, especially as Niner fans, man. I really hope they don't try to run him in the ground. I really hope they give Garindo and Mason a buck or more of the bulk because they have their football shape ready right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think you throw the Wolves to McCaffrey, even as talented as he is. I really feel like you protect him in empty sets. You protect him by putting him out in motion, and you protect him by putting him out in space. You don't want to run him inside the tackles right now. That's just not a place he wants to be. Right. I think you give Mason and Garindo the share of that, but also the Buccaneers can spread the ball out. Not sure if they get Mike Evans back. Obviously Godwin's out, but Baker's developed a chemistry with Sterling Shepard. And also you have Rashad White. I mean, they're not a scrub team. Like, they're going to play
to stay alive. I mean, if you're trying to stay alive before Mike Evans gets back, you got to win some games. They're dangerous when Evans gets back, but it may be too late. They have to win this game.
We got to put the nail in the coffin this week.
That's going to be
a must win. Is this in Tampa?
I believe it is.
Oh shit!
I believe it is. So that should be a good one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, brother.
Here's a great quarterback matchup, man. Old versus young. They do it two different ways. Jets Cardinals. The Cardinals are ascending right now. They're on a 4-game win streak. The Jets are trying desperately to stay alive, but they continue to lose close games. But this is a fun game to watch. I feel like this is a must-win for the Jets. Don't get me wrong. But then the Cardinals trying to stay alive and outpace the Rams somehow. Wow, this is a fun game. Jets Cardinals, lots on the line.
It's all about motivation, man.
You don't seem that excited about this game.
Not really.
Dolphins Rams I just continue to stay in the NFC West, but Dolphins Rams have a big game. The Rams trying to keep atop the West, and the Dolphins coming off that huge loss versus Buffalo with Tua back, trying to claw their way back into the season. If they lose, they might be looking at off-season obscurity.
Dolphins and Jets win.
Okay.
You know why I say that, right?
That's your fandom. That's your fandom for the 49ers coming out.
I want them to get blown out.
Okay.
Both of them.
There's no way, in my opinion, the Jets could win that game. I don't see the Rams losing to the Dolphins. I don't see it. I think the Dolphins are cooked. They've just been through too much this year. All right, Brandon. Fantasy time, my friend. Give us a start 'em and sit 'em this week.
Let's go, baby. So we're going to go to this stardom. Start Lamar Jackson. Do that. 49ers Buccaneers. Start Brock Purdy. I know I ain't talked a lot about him. He's out of my top 10 because he ain't been doing his thing. He's okay right now. But I think this is where Brock turns back into Mr. Purdy. Start Daniel Jones versus the Giants or versus the Panthers because every single quarterback has gone off versus the Panthers. Daniel Jones is averaging right now about 23.5 in the past 3 games, so he's doing his thing. Broncos, Chiefs, I'd definitely stay away from that game. Steelers and Commanders, I'd stay away from that game too. Vikings, I'd start Sam Darnold versus the Jaguars. I think that'll be a good one. I'd start Kirk Cousins versus the Saints. If you don't remember, Kirk Cousins went off for like a 40-point game
also
against the Saints, so that will be huge. I'd start Josh Allen versus the Colts. I'd stay away from that Patriots Bears game. That's going to be an absolute shit show.
Toilet bowl.
Another toilet bowl. And you know what? I'm going to put Justin Herbert has a solid game against the Titans. I would start him. I would also start Jalen Hurts versus the Cowboys. I would start Aaron Rodgers versus the Jets. Aaron Rodgers versus the Cardinals.
I
would not start Kyler versus this game. I think that defensive line is about to get after Kyler. Yeah, I think they're playing with a lot more motivation to win than the Cardinals. And I want to say go with Jared Goff this week, but I don't know. Against the Texans, I don't know. Not too sure he's going to give you the points because he only throws like 20 times a game.
How about Cooper Rush? Do we want to start Cooper Rush this week?
No. He's going to throw some picks. Dolphins and Rams, I'd start both of them. I think it's going to be an offensive showdown. Tua's been extremely efficient since he's been back. Stafford's on a roll. He's got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, so you know he's going to get a lot of completions. Probably throw for a good amount of yards. Dolphins defense not too good this year, but I think it's going to be an offensive showdown. So you have a lot of QBs at your disposal. I would stay away from a guy like Kyler. I would stay away from a guy like Caleb Williams. I'd stay away from whoever the Saints quarterback is. I'd really stay away from this Jaden Daniels Steelers game because I think the welcome to the NFL moment's about to happen for Jaden Daniels.
Oh, boy.
The tough Steelers team that is top 5 in the league in turnovers.
Right.
TJ Watt and all those guys. So, yeah, but that's it.
All right.
And another bad game for Bo Nix coming up. So don't start him if you got
another bad game for Bo. We love to hear that.
Not going to happen, brother.
Well, Thank you all for tuning in. That's going to do it for us this week. Please like, subscribe, let us know your thoughts. Be sure to comment, get involved. That'll do it for this week's QB Huddle podcast. For my podcast partner, Brandon Newey, I'm Tim Smith. Till next week, keep those chains moving.
See you.